So I don't know why I'm laughing about that. That's not funny. Like they're, looking for hope and
How cruel.
yeah, it's just
It's like, oh, all
I'm
these
just
people
like
are dying, and we're just like,
Cold Beet Soup is a podcast for casual fans who want to explore lore and fandom rabbit holes in music and gaming.
and are sad sometimes.
happy Thursday.
We're
I gotta
tired.
work on the intros. Yeah, we're tired. I'm running.
It was the
I'm
blood
running on
moon
fumes.
rises.
We were literally talking about this last night
Yeah.
because I was like, I don't know what it is, man. Like I've been tired, and you're like, yeah, me too. And I was like, was it a full moon?
Yeah.
Because sometimes full
Other people
moons,
I've
I don't
talked
know.
to were all like, yeah, couldn't sleep, bad sleep past couple days. Like everyone I've talked to.
Yep. There's like some science behind it. I have to look it up though. But yeah, we were talking and I was like, you know what this reminds me of?
Yeah.
The blood moon
The
rises
blood
in
moon
Zelda.
rises.
That's so funny. It's just such a funny, I don't know. It's just the way she says it. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like chill out. Um, but with that, I think it's a good pivoting point to the presentation. Dude, I'm trying to do like three things at once and it's not working.
You're like, so we're
You should
going
be.
to do. Oh shit! Now I gotta. Oh, hold on. Wait.
See, that's exactly what I mean. I
There
was
we
like,
go.
wait. I was like, do I pull up the PowerPoint first or the uh my brain
Uh.
just broke. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. And my I have this giant water bottle and it's like blocking half the screen. So I'm gonna just move that. 'Cause I probably won't be drinking that as I talk. Um, so we finally made it. We're at the last part of the timeline. It's been a long journey, but we're here. Um, I do, Vicky and I talked about this. Although I love doing all this research, I need a
I
break.
love you doing all the research.
This last presentation, I won't lie, I was like starting to feel the tired. And I was like, man, I need a break. Also, with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which will be my last segment, I want to give myself some more time because there's several theories out there, and I've yet to see a video or, video, podcast, anything to cover all of them. And I think that would be super interesting. Like all the main theories that people have just combined into one, comparing and contrasting, and kind of we can talk about which ones we like the most or we agree with the most. I will try to present them without a bias, just presenting all the facts because I know like I will have my own bias, so I'll try to take that out of it. But I think that'll be cool. So we'll take a week break. Next week, Vicky's gonna present on something. I don't know. Have you decided yet, or are you still planning? Do you want to spoil?
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like going between.
Nobody
It's gonna be
does.
like I like to do things last minute.
Oh,
So,
great. That'll be great for me making the thumbnail.
oh yeah, it's okay.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, it won't be
Well,
like
just so
won't be
uh-huh.
like last minute where it's like we'll see.
It's gonna be Tuesday, 9 p.m. We record on Wednesday.
It's up.
Dude, I'd cry. I'd just be like, okay.
Okay, I'll do it Tuesday 9 a.m. Okay.
Oh my God. No, I think as long as I have like a day or two, it should be okay.
Yeah, I'll
Like
just
I should be
I
okay. I'm getting
uh
faster with them.
Saturday, I'm streaming. See, I would have time Saturday, but I have to stream with some people.
Yeah, I wonder who.
And then Sunday I'm going to the circus. So
My life is a circus. I don't need to
right.
go. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. That should be fun though. Yeah, no, as long as I get like a day or two, it should be okay. Because
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like
yeah,
I've
yeah.
been
Like
figuring
I
out the
have
thumbnails
thoughts.
faster.
I have thoughts. I just the no the sleep that has been like not there has just been making me not
Yup.
want to do anything. So
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
I had
no,
time at work.
I feel that.
I brought out the my tablet and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do research. Nope.
Dude, I feel that.
So
I just yeah, it's been a lot. My work started ramping up for me and I'm just like I felt like I was drowning in stuff and it was just like yesterday it was literally I go, someone comes in my office to talk about a thing, they
mm,
leave, then I have a call. Then I had a call I didn't even know I was supposed to be in. Nobody told me. So my
nice.
boss was like, "Hey, you got to jump in." And he's like, "Oh, by the way, I'll call on you to speak." And I was like, "Please, just
Nice.
bro." I was like, I was not prepared. And it was like speaking to senior people, so I was just like, "Oh my God." I just wanted to melt into the ground. It was just I was like, "Oh my God." And then yeah, after that was like another call, then lunch, then come back, do a couple things. Someone else comes to my it was just like nonstop. I think it was like 3 o'clock, so I had about 30 minutes left of my day, and I was like, wow, I feel like I can finally breathe. It's like, oh, it's almost
It's
time to
like
go home.
ah nice.
Yeah, it was just it was crazy. So hopefully it'll chill out. But we'll see. I don't know.
Start crying.
Anyways, no, it's fine. Like the day goes by
Oh
quick, but it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
like it's hard to shut it off.
Mm,
Like after yesterday, I got home and like I, actually on purpose, I do not put my work email on my phone. Like
that's
actually
good.
it's on my phone, but I turned off notifications.
Okay, okay.
So like I'm not tempted to check any emails. Um that's I set that up on purpose and then even like last night as I was laying in bed I started thinking about work stuff and I was like whoa you're not getting paid to think about this stuff right now like I had to like dial myself down but it's just hard when you're like up here and you have to just bring yourself
Yep.
back down so but anyways that's not what you guys are here for you guys
Yeah,
are here
they're
for
like,
some Zelda
they're like, it's been 7 minutes.
they're like
Where's this fuking Zelda shit?
pressing fast
Yeah,
forward
they're
on the
like, come
episode
on.
chop chop. Hey, it's a podcast. It's
they're
okay
like,
if we talk.
they're like, why are these sad girls still talking? Like, we need the
Like
Zelda
nobody
stuff.
cares about your problems.
Yeah. Oh, first world problems. You have a job. Woo.
Your job is stable. Woo,
Yeah,
boo
you have
hoo.
work to do. Oh no.
Boo
Yeah,
hoo.
boo.
Oh my God.
You know who
So
also has work to do?
who?
Zelda. Or no, Link. Damn, I
Oh,
fucked that up.
Zelda is asleep in every single game. She doesn't do a damn thing. She's always asleep.
Yeah, I
My
know.
friend and I were talking about this. It was like when I was playing Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom ends and she wakes up, she's like, "Huh? Where am I?" Like she was falling through the sky asleep. And Link picks her up and she's like, "Huh? Huh?" I was like, "Please, how can I sleep like you? I get restless nights and this
Right?
woman is falling through the sky, knocked out, like not a care in the world." I'm like, "Oh my God." So you'll see that in a couple of these games. I made sure to include that because I'm like, this bitch always asleep. So, anyways, this is the last timeline. For those of you that have not tuned in before, I recommend that first episode just because if you're coming in at ground zero, like at this point, Vicky already knows the main characters, a lot of the tropes that show up over and over again. So that first episode I think is a good like level zero for you and then you can hop back to this or if you already know and you're like I just want to hear about the adult timeline then
Or if you're
buckle
just all
up.
like, you know what? I want to watch these backwards. I respect it.
That is a type of chaos I appreciate
Mm.
because I am also chaotic. So you do you, boo. You'll be like, I don't know who half these people are, but okay. So I use that same encyclopedia as a reference. Again, we're only covering three games: Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks. I do want to warn you that Wind Waker, they had an HD remake, so I had a lot of nice images from that. But Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks are DS games, and they were in
Mm.
480p. So you're gonna see some kind of
Nice.
potato. Yeah, they're kind of like potato looking, but I tried my best to find good ones, but it's just hard because like also it's on two separate screens, so it's small. But at least you can hopefully make out what the picture is. Now, with this timeline, remember last week we talked about the child timeline. And in that one, Zelda sends Link back in time 7 years, and we follow Link as he, goes through his childhood, which was pretty crazy if you think about it. Majora's Mask is his childhood, which is
Mm.
sounds awful. But yeah, he goes back. So now we're actually in that timeline where we didn't follow him. We just stayed back. So he went back, but we're in this adult timeline where uh Ganondorf is sealed away, but Link is just no longer there because he just got sent back in time. So what happens when there's no hero of time to save, the people of Hyrule? So because, as we know, Ganondorf doesn't stay sealed away for long,
Nope.
so chances are he's going to come back, as a spoiler alert. But before we get into that, I do want to mention where the Triforce is because it's a main focus of every single game. Well, not every single, but a lot of the games. So Ganondorf, when he gets sealed away, he has the Triforce of Power. Zelda has the Triforce of Wisdom. And then the Triforce of Courage actually does not go back in time with Link, because usually Link is coincides with that Triforce. But actually, it gets shattered into 8 pieces all over Hyrule. So it's kind of scattered around Hyrule, and then Zelda actually takes the Master Sword back to the Temple of Time. So that's where stuff remains. And now we're going into Wind Waker a little bit. This is kind of the precursor to Wind Waker. So this image, the next two images you'll see are in the very beginning of the game where they kind of like tell these old stories. So I like this style because it looks like, like old school
Yeah.
hieroglyphs or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. But the story goes that, generations after Link left, the seal weakens for an unknown reason. Nobody ever knows why, but it just happens. And Ganondorf escapes. He wrecks shit because he was in prison for so long. So he's like, "Yep, all you guys are gonna pay the consequences," which you can see in the slide with all the dead people around Ganon. Just like he's got his Triforce and they're all just dead. Um, so as as this is happening, the people of Hyrule are praying to the hero of time, Link, who to save them, but he never shows up because he's in a different timeline. So I don't know why I'm laughing about that. That's not funny. Like they're, looking for hope and
How cruel.
yeah, it's just
It's like, oh, all
I'm
these
just
people
like
are dying, and we're just like,
and Link's just like dealing with some kid with a wild mask. And he's like, "Oh, I showed up at this place and the moon's about to crash into the world." Which is also not funny. Anyway, so I laugh when I'm nervous, so that's what it is. I'm not laughing at his misfortune. So, the king of Hyrule, he tried to use magic to stop Ganondorf, but it doesn't work. So the people start praying to the three golden goddesses, the ones that made the earth. That's why you see the people praying to the Triforce, because that's kind of like, their symbol. And the goddesses did intervene, and they told the people of Hyrule, "Hey, go flee to the mountaintops. We're gonna flood everything. Just scratch this Hyrule. We're starting over, and you guys are gonna live on these mountaintops are gonna basically become islands because it's a huge flood." Um, the king decides he wants to stay back with his kingdom, kind of like a captain staying back with his ship. And when he does so, he also splits the Triforce of Wisdom. So he keeps a piece, and then he gives the princess a piece and tells her to escape. Um, I think it's a parallel in the games where they like to split up the Triforce to try and make it harder for Ganondorf to get it.
Mm.
So it's just, another one of those things. And the king, he gets sealed with Hyrule. So he kind of gets sealed in time. Hyrule in itself is actually not flooded or destroyed. What they do is the goddesses put like what do they call it? Air chamber, an enchanted air chamber. It's almost like a bubble, right? That stops the water from destroying it. And they also put a special seal over the Master Sword, which froze all of Hyrule. So this is what you see in the slide is Hyrule is frozen in time and it like doesn't have any color anymore either. So it's just kind of stuck. Um, they did that for a couple of reasons. One of them is Ganon's army had already infiltrated the castle,
Mm.
so this kind of stops them in their tracks. And then they also sealed away Ganondorf's power within the Master Sword. So, like, as long as nobody touches the sword, Ganondorf can't get his power. I just want to point that out because chances are, I think you know where I'm going with this. But if somebody touches the sword, Ganondorf's gonna get his power back. I
Let me
wonder
guess.
who.
Let me guess. No one touches the sword.
You're right. And then we have peace.
Yeah,
And then
and
none
the
of these
game just
games.
ends, and
All
that's the
right, cut
game.
the episode, guys. That's
All
the
right, thanks
timeline.
for watching. Bye
All
bye.
right, let me just take my headset. No. Um, so this is how Hyrule is left. The people above, they go on, they build, their own civilization. They call this area the Great Sea now because it's just a bunch of water. And as time goes on, they forget about Hyrule because it's below them in the waves. And if you don't talk about stories and legends, they're forgotten. However, there is an island that does talk about not necessarily Hyrule Below, but the legend of the hero of time. And with that, that's how Wind Waker starts. So it's about 100 years after Ocarina of Time. Um, Link lives on an island called Outset Island, and in this game he actually has siblings. So he has a little sister, and this is his grandma, who I thought she is very cute. I really like her character. You don't see her much, but I just think she's really cute. Um, so they live on this island, and this island actually does talk about this legend of a kingdom that had a hidden golden power, but one day an evil man came and he stole the power, and then he used it to spread darkness until this young boy dressed in green sealed the evil with the blade of evil's bane, which is just another way to say the master sword.
Mm.
And this boy he became known as the hero of time, and then this got passed into legend. And clearly, like, this story is about the Ocarina of Time story, like with the hero of time being Link, Ganondorf being the bad man.
Mm.
Um, so they remember this legend, and how they celebrate it is when the boys on the island come of age. They get to dress in green, like the hero's clothes, and that's kind of how they pay reverence to him. And this is how the game starts. It's Link's birthday. His grandma makes him the clothes, and he gets to put them on. And he goes and talks to his little sister, and she's like, as a like birthday gift to you, I'm gonna let you use my telescope just for one day because it's she loves her telescope, but she's letting him use it. And when he uses it, he sees this, and this is like an actual still from the game. That's why you can see like the little outline.
Mm.
So this bird is known as the Helmarock King. That's his name. And you actually can't really tell, but in one of his talons is a girl with blonde hair. It's not the one that's like curled open like this, but it's that closed one. That's where
Okay.
he has a girl. Um, and as Link is looking at this, he sees like cannonballs shooting at the bird. So he like pans over his telescope and then he sees a pirate ship shooting at him. And the pirate ship does land a hit on the bird drops the girl. She falls in a tree in the forest on their island. So Link grabs a sword and runs off to find her. Turns out her name is Tetra, and she's the captain of this group of pirates. So Tetra's the one, she's the blonde. Well, she's actually the only girl,
Yeah, I was gonna
but
say.
she's it's pretty obvious. But yeah, she's the blonde one, and this is her like crew of pirates. So Link meets Tetra, and then as he's walking her back to her ship, the Helmrock King comes back and steals his sister. Which this is also another still from the game. So she gets snatched up, and the bird flies away. And you know, when you have traumatic event happen to you, wouldn't you hope that your postman shows up? Because that's exactly what happens in the
Uh
game.
oh. Oh,
Link is
there we
like
go.
shook. Huh? Oh,
Oh, it froze for a
did I
sec, but
freeze?
you're good.
Oh, no, yeah, I made a bad joke. Maybe my computer was like, no,
Yeah,
don't do
yeah,
that.
I froze at that
My
joke. It
computer's
was
like,
like, no,
yeah,
no,
it
no.
was like, no, that was cringe. Well, anyways, like I was saying, um, Link has this like super traumatic moment, and his postman shows up. His postman is a Rito. Rito, they're just like bird people. They're
Mm.
just a type of creature in Hyrule, and his name is Quill. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I've heard stories of this large bird kidnapping young girls with like with long ears, and they've been taken to this
Oh,
forsaken
hold on, it
fortress.
froze
It's
again.
oh,
Okay. You said bird.
bird is the word.
Yeah.
This bird kidnaps young girls
Yeah.
with blonde hair and long ears,
Mm.
and he takes them to the Forsaken Fortress, which is what this is. You can see it on the slide,
Yep.
and you can even see the bird
Oh, the
on his
top.
little
Yeah, yeah,
nest.
yeah.
Yeah, at the top left. So Link tells Tetra, like, hey, you gotta help me rescue my sister, because, like, this is kind of your fault. The bird thought that she was you, and, like, now she's captured. So Tetra, reluctantly agrees to do that, and Link is able to infiltrate the fortress, and reach where his sister is being kept. But the bird discovers him. Actually, he could tell that the bird is being commanded by some like sinister, shadowy figure, and the bird throws him into the sea. So he gets thrown into the sea right before he can catch his sister. But thankfully, he gets rescued by this
Oh,
talking
it
boat. Uh,
it
this
keeps
talk.
freezing a lot.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Let me see. Ugh.
Technical difficulties. Wow, we're definitely not on something else.
Oh my God. Sorry, guys. Discord was being a cockhead, so I know exactly where we stopped. We stopped right here.
Yeah.
Can you see the slide?
Yep.
Okay. So I think I told you that he got uh hurled into the sea.
Mm.
Did I mention that? Okay, great. And then this boat saves Link. It's a talking boat. He's pretty cool. I like how he looks. He's known as the King of the Red Lions. And he lets Link know that that shadowy figure that was seems to be controlling the bird was or not controlling the bird, but kind of like telling the bird what to do, was Ganondorf. Okay. Also, all right, cool. I just Google Meet had this thing that was like, you are sharing your entire screen, and it just put it on top of my notes. And I can't read my notes.
It's like, thanks.
Yeah, that was helpful. Um, the king lets Link know that the seal that they try to put on Ganondorf, because when they, flooded Hyrule, they tried to put a seal on him. They thought they put a seal on him, but they didn't. He circumvented it somehow. And the only way to defeat Ganondorf is by getting the Master Sword. So of course, whenever you have to get the Master Sword, there's always some stuff you got to get. In this game, it's Oops. It's goddess pearls. Now, they are named after the three goddesses that we've spoken about multiple times,
Mm.
Din, Nairu, and Furor. Um, These pearls are used to open up a passage to the Tower of the Gods, which lies underwater in Hyrule. But once he puts the pearls on these little statues, which you see on the slide here, the temple actually rises above the sea. So Link does that. The temple rises. He goes in and he takes the Master Sword from the pedestal. Now remember what happens when he does that? When he
Nothing.
releases it.
Am I right?
With all the IT problems we had, I just wanted to win. No, no, it's fine. Um,
What? Am I
I'm
wrong?
really glad I'm glad I'm taking a break.
You just shut everything off and the Zoom
Just
meeting.
close the presentation, and you're like, Zorlda, hello, hello, and
Hello?
I just don't respond. Um, he releases Ganondorf's power. He doesn't know that he did it. But yeah, that was also I don't necessarily think it's Link's fault because why would they seal it away with the sword? That's the thing I don't understand. Because in every single game, Link tries to get the Master Sword anyway, so I just don't know why they thought that was the place to seal away the power, but whatever. Um, he takes the sword, which also beyond breaking that again the seal to Ganondorf's power, it restores the flow of time. So everything starts moving again in Hyrule, all the colors come back.
Mm.
But Link's like, I don't give a shit. He goes to the Forsaken Fortress, and he defeats the Helmarok King, that bird. Tetra, at the same time, with her crew, go and rescue his sister. Link confronts Ganondorf, which you see on this slide, but his Master Sword is ineffective. So Ganondorf overpowers him. Um,
Oh,
Ganondorf
hold on.
also.
1 sec.
Oh,
Dinner's ready. 1 sec.
yay!
Alfabeto
Delicious!
Irateso. Alexit. I'm back.
Dad giving you a hard time.
Yeah, he's like, there won't be any left.
You're like, yeah, yeah, save it for the
Yeah, yeah,
judge.
yeah.
um, so what did he say? Oh, Ganondorf's like, yeah, your sword is powerless. Also, thanks for giving me all my power back, sucker. And then Tetra comes in and tries to intervene, but Ganondorf just puts her in a chokehold. Because you saw the picture of her, she's like this big,
Mm.
she's tiny, and you see Ganondorf, he's huge.
Yep.
Um, when he does that, his Triforce starts to glow. And then he looks closer and he's like, wait a minute. She's wearing a piece of the Triforce. Oh my God, she must be Zelda. And like, as soon as he figures this out, two of the Rito bird people come in, pick up Tetra and Link, and just they escape immediately before Ganondorf can do anything. It happens super quick. Um, and those two people are not just any old so and so. One of them is Quill. Quill in this game, he's kind of like the guide, so he's kind of like the Navi, kind of like the owl that's kind of guiding Link along through the game. So he comes to help out. And then the other one that saves him is Prince Kamali, who he is the future leader of the Rito, and the way that Link met him was when he was searching for all the goddess pearls. Prince Kamali actually had one of them. It was a gift from his grandmother, and he didn't want to give it to Link. However, the Rito people have something in their culture where they have this sky spirit. It's like a dragon. His name is Valu. And part of their culture is like when you want to, or I think it's marks their adulthood,
Mm.
you go and like get a dragon scale, but the sky spirit was kind of not acting normal and was like starting to attack people, so they stopped doing that. And Prince Kamali was like, well, I guess if you take care of that, I might give you the pearl. and Link goes and takes care of it. Turns out he was like possessed by some demon thing or something. It was, a Ganondorf thing.
Mm.
And then Valoo got back to normal, and then Prince Kamali gave him the pearl. So that's how he ran into Prince Kamali again. And Valoo actually comes in and burns Ganondorf's
God
portrait to the
damn.
yeah. So like they just snatch him up, and then Valoo's like, "What?" Like burns it to the ground. So that was pretty sick. Yeah, it happens really quick. They drop Tetra and Link off at the King of Red Lions, who decides this is a good time to let Tetra and Link know that he's just not a regular old boat, but he is actually the King of Hyrule. And this is still from the game because he takes Link and Tetra to Hyrule, underwater, and he's like, "Hey, yeah, I'm the king. I've just been, guiding you all along because what happened was when Ganondorf circumvented his seal, the goddesses awakened me from my seal, and I took the form of a boat to search for, the next hero to defeat him. And I was trying to find a descendant of the royal family, which, oh, by the way, thanks for showing up, Tetra, because now I know you're the princess." And Tetra's like, I didn't know I was Princess Zelda. And the king took his piece of the Triforce and her piece of the Triforce, fused them together, and then she transforms. And that's why she looks,
Ooh.
yeah, she looks hella confused. So does Link. He's like, huh? Um, so yeah, turns out she's Zelda. She just didn't know it. I remember playing through this, and as a kid, like I never saw it coming. So I was shocked too, because at first I was like, "Wow, it's so cool that they have this different character." Because Tetra, she's like kind of spunky, like she's very feisty, and I
Not
I really liked her.
sleeping.
Not sleeping, she's like actually doing shit for once. And then she turns into Zelda. I'm like, God damn it. I was like,
Not
that's so
again.
lame. I was like, she's gonna get kidnapped. Now she's gonna fall asleep. She'll be useless. But yeah, I never saw it coming as a kid. So I was just like, what? It was crazy. But yeah, so now that she's Zelda, the king is like, you need to stay in Hyrule and stay hidden from Ganondorf because he's totally gonna come looking for you. I'm gonna go back up to the surface with Link, and we're gonna reunite the Triforce of Courage, and we're going to get the Master Sword's power back because we know it is powerless. So they go, back up to the surface and do that. Link does assemble all the pieces. That's part of the game. You just go around finding all the pieces. Now, for the Master Sword, it's a little bit different. Why the Master Sword lost its power? In this game, the sages, their prayers gave the Master Sword its power, and Ganondorf's forces killed two of the sages. So then
Mm.
the Master Sword lost its power. However, if there are new sages in the bloodline that go to the temples, it was the Sage of Wind and Earth and Wind. Um, if they go to the temple and pray, then they can restore the power to the Master Sword. So Link just had to find the sages. They go to the temple, and that's how he restored the Master Sword. So he did both of those things. So he proved himself to be the hero of time. And then the King of Red Lions also declares him the hero of the winds. And I wanted to point this out because the game is called Wind Waker, and I realized as I was researching this, at no point did they actually mention the Wind Waker item that you get. So remember how like sometimes Link gets an ocarina or he has some like musical instrument to
Yeah.
help him. In this case, the Wind Waker is like a baton,
Oh.
and yeah, the King of the Red Lions gives it to him so he can change the direction of the wind. Because a lot of the game, you're in the boat and you're like sailing through
Oh,
water.
okay,
So
okay.
sometimes you have to like change where you're going. But it also has the power to like open doors to the temples and awaken the sage in someone. And so he can do like some magic stuff with it. But yeah, I realized it was never mentioned, but I thought it should be mentioned because the game is called Wind Waker. So
Yeah.
I feel like I should bring it up. And it's pretty cool. I think you learn like 5 or 6 songs in the game and you can do different things. But Anyways, Link now has all of his tools to go, back to Hyrule. Well, like I kind of foreshadowed to you is yeah, Zelda gets kidnapped. Ganondorf finds her, and
What?
I know. And I don't know if you can tell in the slide by his left leg, that's actually Zelda asleep in bed because he puts her in a spell and she's just asleep. So the funny thing is like you fight this battle with giant puppet Ganondorf and Homegirl is just knocked out.
Dang, I wish I
Just
could sleep like that.
I know, right? I was like, what kind of spells is he putting on this girl? Like, geez, I would kill for that
Like,
type
can
of sleep.
I get that spell?
I know, it's crazy, right? But yeah, this is Puppet Ganon. He transforms. You fight him. Uh, Link beats him, but Ganondorf doesn't actually die. You've noticed this in the games. Like you fight Ganondorf several times. It's not always just. It's not one time. It's
Mm.
usually he has some other form. So he turns back into his normal form. He actually ascends. Oh, I didn't mention where this was. This is in his tower. After his fortress got burned down, he built a tower. He loves building towers. I think he has a tower in like almost every game. Evil, like evil lair type shit.
Yeah.
So he, Link follows him to his tower. This is where he fights him. But then Ganondorf turns back, takes Zelda with him, goes to the top of the tower where there's like, oh, this perfect battleground for them to fight on. So Link follows him, but Ganondorf actually like sucker punches him and knocks Link out, and Link loses his mask. Like he throws the Master Sword or drops it, I guess. It gets knocked out of his hands. And then Ganondorf's like, "Oh, sick! I have the Triforce of Power. She's got the Triforce of Wisdom. Link's got the Triforce of Courage. I can just summon the Triforce now and get my wishes to make the kingdom and world mine." So he summons the Triforce. It comes down the middle. He's about to put his hand on it, but then the king puts his hand on it first, and he's like,
He's like, no, no,
and
no.
it's pretty sick because like the way the game is, Ganondorf's doing like his evil thing, and then you just pan over, and it's literally this. Like I took this screenshot from the game. He's just like, "Psych!
You got the
I did it first."
wrong house.
Yeah, he got. So the king is like, "No, I actually wish for Hyrule and Ganondorf to be buried underwater, and I also wish for hope for Link and Zelda so they can create a better world." And the Triforce is like, okay. And Hyrule starts flooding. Ganondorf loses his mind, so he attacks Link. Zelda wakes up finally, so she helps fight Ganondorf
Oh, she
with
helps.
Link. Yeah, she finally helps. And then they attack Ganondorf. I don't know if you could see it, but they stab him in the forehead. Link stabs him in the forehead. It's right up top.
Mm.
And then Ganondorf turns to stone. So they finally defeat him like that. And this is all as like Hyrule is flooding too. So it happens, kind of quick. Um, they say their goodbyes to the king because the king is like, yeah, I'm just gonna stay down here. Like he just like,
He's like,
man, I just
goodbye.
I think he just kind of feels like he failed his kingdom multiple times, and he's like, "Yeah, that's enough for me. Like, it's up to your guys' hands now. Like, you guys did a better job than I ever would." That's
Mm.
that's at least my thought on his mentality. Also, there is a fan theory that the king is actually a ghost, but I was reading up on this because they're like, okay, how did he get sealed away for 100 years and survive? And I'm like, well, magic and time stopped. Um, and my biggest argument with that fan theory is the fact that he touched the Triforce. I don't think ghosts can make
Yeah.
wishes on the Triforce
Because
because
you said it
that's one of
was the humans, the Triforce is humans.
correct.
So,
Humans can do it, not gods or anything.
yeah.
But I feel like you have to be alive. Like you
Right.
can't be a ghost. But I did find it's an interesting theory because I guess in some aspects of the game he kind of looks ghostly, like
Mm.
the way the game shows him. So it's fair. But I wanted to point it out just because I thought it was interesting. So they say goodbye. They get Lincoln Zelda get transported to the surface as you know the waters come crashing down, and Zelda actually turns back into Tetra. You can barely see them on the slide. They're like at the bottom. They're like the two little circles there,
Mm.
Link and Tetra, because they're just floating. And the pirate ship comes up. They see Link sees his sister. They see the pirate crew. So everyone reunites, which is all good. And the way the game ends is they just start sailing to search for new land to call Hyrule because they're like that you know Hyrule's cooked. It's it's over for
Yeah.
Hyrule. And the next game, Phantom Hourglass, is actually, as far as I can remember, every single game, there's always like 100 years passed or many generations passed. But I think between Wind Waker and Phantom Hourglass, it's not a lot of years because it's the same Link and the same Tetra.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so the way it starts is they find this ghost ship. Oops. Sorry. I got too excited.
Oh my god.
They find this ghost ship, and this is where the caca quality will start
Mm.
because, yeah, I mean, it's hard to find a better picture. So this ghost ship is taking sailors, like people go on the ship, but they never come back. And Tetra goes and explores, but then she also disappears. So Link tries to follow her, but he washes up on the ocean. Well, he falls in the ocean and then washes up on an island. It's called Merkay Island, and it's just another island in the Great Sea. He gets discovered by this fairy on the left who kind of looks like Navi,
Mm.
but her name is actually Ciela. She doesn't remember her past. She has some amnesia, but the guy in the middle, his name is Oshus. She sees him as like a grandfather, and she's like, "Oh, Link, you know, needs some help, so I'll go bring him to Oshus. Maybe Oshus will have some suggestions on what to do." And then Oshus is like, "Oh, you're trying to go to the ghost ship? Oh, okay. Well, since you don't have a ship, there's this other guy, the guy on the right. His name is Captain Linebeck. He's like, "Yeah, this guy has a ship. Maybe he'll let you, you know, travel with him." And he's like, "Oh yeah, his ship is docked on the shore. You should go check it out." So Link goes and looks at it, but the crew says, "Oh no, Captain Linebeck left. He went to the Temple of the Ocean King. He thought there was treasure there, but he hasn't come back in a while. So I don't know what's up with that." So then Link goes to the temple to find him, and Linebeck actually got caught in one of the traps. So Link helps him get out, and then Linebeck's like, "Okay, I'll help you, but only if I can find treasure." Because he's like, "Okay, you seem like you know your way around this temple, and we'll probably have to go back in. So I want treasure, and I guess I'll help you." Um, and it turns out they do have to go back in. So this is the Temple of the Ocean King. Um, this is so Phantom Hourglass as a kid, I thought was a very cool game, and I will explain why.
Mm.
Because in the story, they're trying to figure out where the ghost ship is because it kind of seems to show up in random places, so it's hard to track it. But
Okay.
if they find the spirits of courage, wisdom, and power, you know,
Wow.
same old story. But they need to use maps and clues, which are hidden in this temple. Now, this temple is not like normal temples. You can kind of see in the middle, but there's a little hourglass there. You need to use this hourglass to navigate the temple. If you don't, your life force is going to be drained. So you're kind of on this timer. So the way the hourglass works is you have 10 minutes of, they call it the sand of hours, but it's just 10 minutes of the sand. Um, and this will protect you from any of the life draining curse in that temple. Um, and you go around the temple and there's like safe zones. So it's kind of like the floor is lava, but you're going through the temple. So you're like, and then you can go in the safe zone and then the sands aren't going. It was
Mm.
very creative. Plus it's on the DS, so it's like all touchscreen controls. They really utilize the touchscreen controls. It was very cool. Um, so, but if he gets hit, he can lose like 30 seconds or 15 seconds. but he can also recharge his hourglass if he goes out into the sunlight. Or if he's in the temple, sometimes he can find little upgrades with about 30 seconds of time. However, he will never have more than 10 minutes total. So like it can just add 30 seconds to what you have, but if you're like at the full 10 seconds, you find one, it's not like you'll have, or I'm sorry, if you're at the full 10 minutes and you
Mm.
find one, it's not like you'll have 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Like it
Okay,
just
okay.
maxes out. But it's very cool, and I thought it was different than any of the other games I've played. So I thought it was a lot of fun. He does find the spirits. Uh, these are what they look like in this game, and it turns out one of them looks a lot like Ciela, and it turns out she was the spirit of courage. She just did not remember that this was the case because she lost her memory when she was attacked by a creature named Bellum, who we're going to talk about on the next slide. Um, Oceus knew about this because he is actually the Ocean King. So there's like two plot twists
Oh.
in this game, and the reason why they're kind of undercover with their identities is because of this guy, Bellum. um, Bellum is a life-eating monster. That's why there's this curse on the temple. That's why this ghost ship. He's the reason for all this evil that's showing up. He's the main antagonist in the game. And when he, attacks Ciela, she lost her memory. So they are in hiding because they don't want Bellum to find them really and mess them up. And so they find out about Bellum. They're still going through the temple. They know that Bellum resides deep in the temple, but they're still just trying to find Tetra in it. And they do find her, but she's turned into stone.
Oh.
And this is a still from the game. That's kind of why it looks potato. But
It looks amazing.
yeah, 480p, baby. I mean, like, but think about it. When we were kids, like these graphics were amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I was hyped about this as a kid. Granted, I'm not looking at it at this giant screen. It was on
Right.
my DS screen,
Yeah.
which is like this big, but it's still like super cool. So Tetra's a statue. Turns out this is another side effect of Bellum's, life draining power. And Link's like, well, that's okay. Like, we'll figure out a way to save her. And Linebeck, he's like, wait a minute. We went through this whole temple and there's no treasure. I don't want to continue. This is bogus. And Oceus is like, listen, I'm the Ocean King. I can grant wishes. I'll grant you one wish. You can wish for all the treasure that you want if you just help Link out. And then Linebeck's like, okay, okay, I'll help you out. Because remember, Link still doesn't have a ship at this time.
Mm.
Like, so he needs Linebeck because Linebeck has a ship and they're trying to go to this ghost ship. So they go back. Turns out the only way to defeat Bellum is to make something known as the Phantom Sword. Not the same as the Master Sword, but it's similar. And you forge it from these three pure metals. Wow, they're red, green, and blue. Same as always.
Wow.
Yeah, you just go around local islands finding them. You forge the sword. Uh, so Link does that. He fights Bellum. It looks like he defeats him, and Tetra is freed from her statue form and revived. But like right as they're about to celebrate, Bellum comes back, which is classic. Like I mean, it's always you never only fight him once. He comes back, he takes Tetra again. Linebeck loses his ship, and then Oceus, Link, and Tetra are all captured. So their only hope is Linebeck. So I will say this man grows a pair. You can it's very hard to see, and it was hard to show it, but he's holding the Phantom Sword.
Oh, okay.
Uh, yeah, so he's just like, and he basically stabs Bellum in one of his tentacles, which you see, and this makes him drop Link, um, which is good for Link. But then Bellum manages to attack Linebeck, and he possesses him, turning him into like a Phantom Knight. So Link has to not only fight Bella, but also fight Linebeck in Phantom Knight form, but he has to try to not kill him because Linebeck is his friend. So he does manage to do that. He does succeed. He defeats Bellum, and as the game ends, the sand from the Phantom Hourglass is released into the sea. Oceus turns into his real form, which is a whale, which makes sense because he's the Ocean King.
Mm.
So goes to leave with the other spirits because he's like, my job here is done. And Linebeck, he actually doesn't wish for treasure, but he wishes for his ship back, which you can see in the slide. This is his little ship, and the reason why I put it on this slide is because when they all say their goodbyes, Link and Tetra find themselves on the ship again, on their pirate ship,
Mm-hmm.
but it only seems like 10 minutes passed. Remember, the hourglass only had 10 minutes in the
Yeah.
sand. So the rest of the crew was like, no, no, it was all a dream. None of this was real. And then Link looks over the ship and he sees Linebeck's ship uh, sailing away. He also checks his pockets and he has an empty hourglass. He's like, oh, yeah, no, this wasn't a dream. It was real. It was just one of those. It reminds me of this game had parallels to Link's Awakening when he goes on that island and then that island disappears.
Mm, yeah.
Like, it's that type of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
then also the time limit thing reminds me of Majora's Mask, but I like it because it's limited to the temple. So it's not like a time limit through the whole game, but in the
Right.
temple you're just limited. It added some creativity because that's like the main focus of the game is that big temple. Granted, you're gonna go around to those other islands to
Mm-hmm.
find the medals, but I love that game. I think it's a great game. So I mean, I know I'm very biased, but I thought it was pretty cool. And now we go to Spirit Tracks, which I wasn't as big of a fan of, but the story is pretty interesting. The mechanics I was kind of like, but we'll talk about that in a bit. So this next era is called the Era of Hyrule's Rebirth. Link and Tetra's pirate crew, they find a new continent. On this continent, they see a bunch of spirit tracks, which are just railroad tracks. That's why I put these pictures on there just to show, like, oh, there's railroad tracks everywhere. And there's this tower in the middle called the Tower of Spirits. Now, the Tower of Spirits were created by the Locomo. The Locomo are just when I read up their description, they're like, "Oh, spirit protectors of this land." I was like, "Oh, okay. So they're basically like the sages,
Mm.
just called something else." And they used it to bind the Demon King Maladus to the land. So that tower is the main, hub. Tetra called this new place New Hyrule. New Hyrule thrived for over 100 years, and Spirit Tracks starts about 100 years later when the Spirit Tracks actually start disappearing. So the railroad tracks just start disappearing. In this game, Link becomes a royal engineer, which just means he's like a fancy train engineer. And Princess Zelda, who is Tetra's descendant, um, is she's giving him the title, and they find out, oh, the spirit tracks are disappearing. That's weird. We should go to the Tower of Spirits to investigate. Now, this guy on the left is Zelda's advisor. His name is Chancellor Cole, and she was already kind of sussed out about him. I mean, he looks kind of sussy when you
Mm-hmm.
look at him. And when they go to investigate, uh, their train gets derailed by Chancellor Cole and this guy on the right, Byrne, who's basically just a servant to Chancellor Cole. And it turns out Chancellor Cole is a demon, so those hats are hiding his horns, and he wants to revive Maladus. So he's not a nice guy. What happens is Byrne separates Zelda's spirit from her body, and her body gets carried off to the top of the spirit tower to be used as a vessel for Maladus. And the spirit tower gets fragmented into like floating pieces.
Oh.
Now, Link, yeah, so bad stuff for them. Link gets knocked out. He wakes up, and Zelda's ghost actually appears after he wakes up in Hyrule Castle. So throughout the game, Zelda, and that's why I put this picture up because throughout the game, Zelda's like by your side actually as a ghost, and which is also different than the other games. Um, so when Z- there's two things that happen. One, Zelda gives him something known as the Spirit Flute, which is another like the ocarina, like the Wind Waker. It's like a magical flute that has strange powers, and you'll use it throughout the game for different things. Um, Zelda also asks Link to take her to the Tower of Spirits because then they can find out why the spirit tracks are disappearing. So they finally go and do that. They run into this old lady. Her name is Angine. She is a Locomo, so she is the protector of the Tower of Spirits, and she explains that um, rather than using like chains or bars to imprison Maladus, they use the spirit tracks to imprison him. And there's a like energy that flows through them. And if this energy fades, then he can break out of his prison. And there's four temples that connect to the Tower of Spirits. So she said, you need to get the rail maps for all of these temples, and you'll be able to see where the power bases are. And if you go and restore them all, then like you'll add strength to the seal on Maladus. And they're like, okay, we'll go do that. And she's like, yeah, here, take this spirit train, which is like a sacred train, and they use it throughout the game. So that's kind of why, for me, the train mechanics got repetitive really fast. At first, it's like, oh, cool, I get to ride a train. And then it's just
Mm.
kind of annoying, especially because sometimes the travel can be a little long.
Oh, okay.
Um, so, yeah, that's why I was kind of like, at first, it's like, again, very cool idea, but not necessarily, I didn't like it too much. So, that for me, it got boring. Now, spoiler alert, they, restore all the spirit tracks, but by the time they get to the top of the tower, Maladus is already resurrected, and you can see that because he uses Zelda as a body. So Zelda can't return her a body because Maladus is in the body now. So they couple things happen. So the pictures that you see is this is called the demon train. And I'll explain that in a bit. One thing I wanted to mention is Burn, that assistant guy, he asks Maladus for powers because the reason why Burn is following these demons is because he always wanted power. And Maladus did not grant him power because he used to serve the spirits. It turns out he used to be Angine's apprentice. So he was like one of the good guys. But since he figured out, oh, the Locomo aren't going to give me power, screw you, I'm going to help the demons instead. And then the demons didn't give him the power, and Maladus knocks him out. So it was a bad day for Burn. But Cole and Maladus escape on the demon train, which you see here. And I put a couple stills because as you're playing the game, like you see the tracks, on the top screen, because the DS has the two screens. So
Mm.
the top screen is like the tracks, and then the bottom screen is like the cinematic, like seeing what's happening. So part was kind of cool. But yeah, they escape on the demon train, and they take the train into the dark realm, which is where that train came from. Now, Link regroups with Angie because he's like, yeah, well, everything's fucked. So what do we do? And Angie's like, it's all good. There's actually one more temple that I didn't tell you about. It's very challenging. It's called the Sand Temple. And there you can get this bow of light, which you see on the far left. If you use the bow of light, you can hit someone and it'll separate their spirit from their body. So the plan is to use that on Maladus so he's no longer in Zelda's body.
Mm.
Now, in order to find this demon train, because it's in the dark realm and they don't know where it is, they use this compass. Burn actually flips again to the good guy's side, and he's like, "No, there's this thing called the compass of light. It'll show you where all the connections to the dark realm are, so you can find this demon train." So they get the bow of light from the sand temple. They get the compass of light from the Tower of Spirits, and then Angine gives Link this Locomo sword, which not the same as the Master Sword, but very similar. And now that they have all the tools, they use the compass, and it turns out that the portal is actually very close to Link's home village. So they go and confront Malladus. They actually go into the Dark Realm, battle the demon train. Link stops the train, and Angine gives Zelda, because Zelda is a ghost throughout all of this, so she can't like fight people. She's just going through them.
Yeah, yeah,
So so Zelda uses phantom armor to help. So she basically goes into this big suit of armor, and then all of a sudden she can hit stuff.
yeah.
Angine
Ooh,
gives her some armor. Yeah, Zelda actually helps in this one, so good
for
for her.
once.
For once, yeah, no, growth. So Zelda in the battle, like Zelda holds Malladus, or she's holding herself, I guess, back, and then Link, you use the bow and you hit him, and then as you can see on the left, Malladus leaves Zelda's body so she can go and reclaim it. She's trying to reclaim it, but she's having trouble with it. So Burn actually shows up and he's like helping guide her, and Malladus is just like, screw you, and kills him. So that was messed up. And then Malladus is like, well, this is all fucked. And he looks at Cole and possesses Cole's body to turn into that beast thing on the right. And this is your final battle, is you're fighting Malladus as a beast. When Link hits him with the Locomo sword, Malladus dissolves into light. The world goes back to normal. All is good. Angine does something very nice. She uses this little like glowing orb of magic to give Burn his life back. He's not going to revive right away, but he's going to return later.
Mm.
And she also explains that she's like, us Locomo, we were here not only to like protect this tower, but we were here to protect all of you. And I can see that you, Link and Zelda, have got this under control. So I'm gonna go back with my spirits. And she just like kind of floats away. And she's like, don't worry, Burton's gonna come back, but he'll hang out with us in the spirit world. So that was a kind of like wholesome ending,
Oh,
even for Burn. And there's like a baby end credit scene, which is kind of cool. So in the end of the game, you get to pick, like Zelda asks you, which one of these do you want to do? And depending on what you pick, you get a slightly different ending. In all of these endings, Zelda's like writing in her book. But if you choose to be an engineer, you see Zelda sees Link navigating the spirit train. Or if you choose to be a swordsman, she sees him practicing combat. Or if you just say, I don't know, Zelda just keeps on working. So they're like maybe end credit scenes, but I thought that was kind of cool that they
oh,
they put that in. Yeah, it's like a cool little thing that they added. But then the game ends like at the sky, says the end, and that's the timeline. Like that's the adult timeline. It's not, anything too crazy. It's a little bit different, I think.
nice.
But yeah, I think those games are I like two out of the three. I do think Spirit Tracks has a cool concept. The gameplay got very old for me.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
can
it's
see.
hard. Yeah, and it's like it's hard to follow up on Phantom Hourglass because I think the general consensus was that Nintendo was very unique with how they implemented the touch controls and
Mm,
what the different the gameplay is. It was really cool.
mm.
So but yeah, that's can't believe I'm saying it, but that's the entire Zelda timeline.
Hell
That's all it
yeah.
is. And now you know it. So the next time you're at a party, you're like, let me tell you about the three
Actually,
goddesses. The three goddesses, Din, Furor, Nairu, this Triforce. Yeah. You see a lot of parallels, a lot of
yeah.
stuff that comes up over and
Mm,
over again. Um, they retell it, in a different way. I do see a lot of foolishness. Like, they put on a seal, but the seal doesn't hold. Or
right.
they seal the Master Sword, which like Link is always gonna grab the Master Sword, and stuff like that.
I
But
still
I
want
mean,
to
if
get the game though. I still don't understand the game with the suit, the brown suit. The
Oh my God, Triforce Heroes. Yeah,
Don't understand
I
that.
I don't know. Yeah, I didn't even know that game really existed until I worked on this presentation. I had never heard of it. And when I heard the story, I was like, "Oh, maybe that's why." Like it's kind
Yeah,
of sounds like a
it's like
meme. Like yeah. It's like, "Oh." Especially with some of these other stories that are super cool where it's like they flooded Hyrule to save
right.
it and
Yeah.
Tetra was actually Zelda and the king was this boat and blah blah blah. Like that's way cooler than I don't know. So, but yeah, that's all of the Zelda lore. I hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I know
What
Vicky needs
technical
to eat
difficulties?
dinner.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, they're gonna notice.
No,
They're gonna know.
not
How
the
would they
audio
know?
listeners.
True, audio listeners won't
It's
know.
just gonna be a weird cut, and
Yeah, it will be a weird. I'll try to smooth it out.
yeah,
I'll maybe do that technical difficulties thing again.
yeah.
That was a good one. So, but yeah, thank you guys for tuning in as always. Next week we will pivot to a different topic, but then the week after that we'll be doing one more Zelda episode,
mm, and then we'll.
then we'll never talk about Zelda again. No,
Nope.
we're definitely going to talk about Echoes of Wisdom when it comes out. I want to.
Oh, is that the one where you play as Zelda?
Mm-hmm.
That looks
Because I want to,
interesting.
yeah, it looks interesting. I want to know what the story is, and then we can like theorize where it fits on the timeline. Because now
Yeah.
we both know. Now we both
Yeah.
know the timeline, so we can talk about it. Because I think it would be really cool. Yay! But anyways, thank you guys again. Like, subscribe, and I don't have any words of wisdom. I'm too tired.
Yeah, we're too tired. Just make sure you sleep.
Yeah, get some sleep. It's so important. Oh my God, don't be like
Please.
us. Sleep
Please.
like
Well,
Zelda.
like, well, yeah, like, try to sleep like Zelda. Like, I've been going to sleep normal times. It's just, I don't know, the quality has just been shit lately. I don't know what it
Yeah.
is.
The quality was like our Discord call.
Yeah. So
Kept
true.
lagging.
So true.
I woke up so many times. I kept waking up. I was like, what
Same.
is happening? Like, why can't I just
Same.
let me sleep? So,
Oh, okay. Bye, guys.
bye.